should have listened to you and just taken the 75 for the 7,500 instead of.
So we just sold your house in Damascus, and it was quite a process because I think you and I started talking, what, 2 or 3 years ago?
I don't think I was quite aware of the fees that Montgomery County and the state of Maryland were charging to sell a house. I think they ended up with something like $12,000, which.
It's time to leave Maryland. How I helped this client get out of Maryland and move to North Carolina. I am here today with my client, Bill Lewis. We just sold his house in Damascus on Howard Chapel Drive, and he has hightailed it down to North Carolina. Bill, thanks for jumping on today. I really appreciate your time.
No problem.
How's North Carolina treating you?
It's been raining for the last 2 weeks.
Oh,
We're hitting.
your vocals are coming in a little scratchy.
Okay, I'll try and talk slower.
That sounded normal. I think it's where like the mic setting is, I guess. So we just sold your house in Damascus, and it was quite a process because I think you and I started talking, what, 2 or 3 years ago about making this move. I know my dad sold you the house back in 2017, I believe. And yeah, so obviously thanks for being a returning client. And so yeah, if you would just kind of give me kind of a rundown on how the whole process went. I know we kind of met 6 or 7 times, just kind of going through the process of, hey, we've cleared this part of the house out. Now we got to do this part.
Yeah, that was a process alone all by itself. Well, you got the good and bad. The good is it's sold. That is, I don't think I was quite aware of the fees that Montgomery County and the state of Maryland were charging to sell a house. I think they ended up with something like $12,000, which I was kind of unaware
Yeah.
of. I think in hindsight, it was kind of a lot of turmoil getting the house ready, moving down here, coming back and forth. I think it might have been better if we had sat down person to person and gone over the contract and the fees and all of the details, because it became very last minute for me, and I'm just signing out paperwork keep the ball rolling. So I probably should have pushed for that, and I wasn't entirely focused in that direction either. But I think that would have been a little more helpful had we jumped into the paperwork side. I mean, we agreed on a handshake a year and a half prior, and I think we needed to get into the paperwork more on a one-to-one level. I could have been coming to the office, I suppose, so we could have gone through everything. There, in the long run, too, I think we didn't include things in the contract that I think would have helped my negotiations. Things about the pool and the ability to make it specifically clear that all the outside stuff was, as is, where is, that sort of thing. So that kind of opened the door to the buyer to um, add to his negotiation more than mine. And that was kind of the thing. And the other thing with doing the paperwork online, I know I ended up re-signing things, or it seemed like I was re-signing the same thing over and over again, like the lead paint thing. And
A lot of redundancy, unfortunately, with these contracts.
yeah, well, I mean, it was like I seen it, and then Patty would send it to me again. It was like, well, he thinks he needed to give me a more detailed description as to what I was missing. Because I think there was some little checkbox somewhere, although I swear I did it. It's the same thing over and over again, but I don't know. So include very detailed. If there's a problem with the paperwork, you miss this, X, Y, Z, have her write out. This is specifically where you need to be going to in this thing.
Mhm.
Granted, my eyesight's not the best, so reading online is always hard to find stuff. So that was the only things I had to 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 hopefully help you a little bit more in that regard. I'm glad it's gone. I'm glad it went quickly. Um, um, I I should have listened to you and just taken the 75 for the 7,500 instead of but they ended up coming back with basically the same thing anyway. Um, I would have preferred to try and fight the um, the home inspection a little bit more because I think they were really there was nothing on there of any great significance. They were trying to poke holes and things where
Right.
holes didn't need to be poked. And I think maybe a little I would have been happy with a little more pushback on that. But I was again, I put this on me mostly because I just wanted it gone too. So
Right.
um anyway, but that's sort of where I felt like I honestly don't believe their story. Just FYI, when all was said and done, I finally got an address for the buyers, and the address they listed was a Gaithersburg apartment complex with no
Hmm.
number. The whole complex had not been sold, was not being sold. I think who bought it was actually an investor, similar to my neighbors. So
Okay.
I think that's I don't know if you could that may I doubt that's information I was allowed to have early on enough to give me any kind of negotiation tool, but had I known, I might have stood up a little bit harder again against on the counters. It's hindsight. A lot of that is hindsight. And fairly, I'd be interested to know what happens with it, but only to that extent. Just to confirm what my suspicions were and are, that it was picked up by an investor and they're going to turn it into another multi-family complex of some sort.
Right. Yeah, we definitely had quite a handful of the hurdles to jump through with all of this stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think with the home inspector, my favorite part was we sold the detached garage. Clearly in there was, hey, this is as is. And they
Right.
just marked all kinds of stuff. And,
Mhm.
because you had been there since 2017 and the garage was there previously, right? That's why you originally wanted that house.
This is the outdoor shop, yeah. I needed the storage capability for all my
Right.
equipment and that sort of thing. I really that there was not a lot on the market in 2017. I get it. The house to me was just a place to live
Right.
um, until I retired, and it was not really, it was never going to be my forever home. But I needed a place where I could store and utilize the equipment that I had. Um,
Right.
to the best extent.
So yeah, they were marking off stuff on a 25-year-old building. It's like, yeah, no kidding, it's a 25-year-old building.
Right.
It's not like it's brand new and it just came off the line. And a lot of these home inspectors, and I keep seeing it more and more now, that they think they're like building code inspectors,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
okay, you're going off of
Like,
today's standards, but again, this is a 25-year-old building, so everything was done to code 25 years ago. There's no major
yeah,
renovations, so we didn't have to update anything to today's code. The buyer can do that if they'd like, but as of
exactly.
25 years ago, everything was done properly.
Everything that they had in there was basically a maintenance item. Clean the
Mhm.
gutters. Okay, yeah, I know the gutters needed cleaning. So what?
Right,
That's different. That's it. You don't have to do that every year. I actually was going to try and get somebody to clean the front gutters. It actually has gutter screens in the back, so to help with those
right.
stuff like that. The expansion tank on a water heater. Well, I've never had an expansion tank on a water
Neither
heater
have
in
I.
any situation until I moved to this house in North Carolina, and it does have an expansion tank, but we have pretty high pressure here too. But
Right.
that's not a requirement. And when you have a well system, you effectively have an expansion tank there. It's one way, but
Mhm.
still it maintains pressure on the system. So, I think that kind of leads me back to this guy's an investor. He's looking to
Right.
use it as a property similar to the one next door where he puts people into it that are his workers or something,
Right.
and they're trying to squeeze as much out of it as possible. but nonetheless, you know, I think you priced it ultimately correctly, um, so that we could get rid of it quickly too. So, um, I did not want to sit on that thing for 6 months. So
No,
all in
goodness no. So, and
all,
from,
yeah,
I think from original list, we ended up having what, like 8 or 10 showings within the first couple of weeks, and then we got this buyer out of it. So, list the
yeah,
contract in 2 weeks. No, it's not 2021 again, and it took 12 hours. But and in my opinion, because I've been doing this so long, I actually just hit 19 years. Um, Honestly, anything in 30 days or less is like a fire sale,
yeah.
timeline wise, at least. And because I remember when I first started, it was 6 to 8 months to sell a house. With the amount of inventory, the way the markets have shifted, changed, blah blah blah, all those things. Um, but yeah, to
I
go
think,
under contract in 2 weeks with a solid buyer is always paramount.
and I think it took about somewhere on the order of 5 to 7 months to sell my previous house, and that was in
Mhm.
2017.
Right.
And there was nothing on the market at the time there as well. It was very big
Yeah, I
shortage
mean,
on it. I mean,
not that long ago, it was still 60 to 90 days was quote unquote normal.
right.
Um, and
In
then
fact, we
obviously
get
we
like,
had the crazy market, and now we're kind of stabilizing a bit.
yeah. Well, I think interest rates are going to be pushed down within the next year or thereabouts too, and that will help the buying situation. I think. And certainly hope I can refinance this house down
Yeah,
here.
as soon
Um,
as those rates drop anywhere, I would guess a half a point to a point. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more refinances. I also think we're
yeah,
going to see more inventory because
yes,
a lot of that you know 25 to 45 homeowner, they're not moving because they have a 5% or less rate. So,
right.
they're not going to leave a 2, 3, 4% rate to go pick up a 6, 7, or 8. And I can't say that I blame
Yeah,
anybody
I'm at
for that.
almost 7.
I would love to refinance my house here, but I'm under 3%. And it's like, well, I got, they call it golden handcuffs. I have a bunch of trapped equity, and it's a good problem to have, but at the same time, it costs too much to get that equity out. And it's like, I guess it's just going to sit there until things change. So, and I think a lot of people are in that scenario where it's, hey, even if I move across the street and the payment's the same or the pricing's the same, because of that interest rate, my payment just doubled. So I'm not moving.
Yeah, I'm in a kind of a different situation here. I have an almost 7%, 6 and 7/8, I think it was, interest rate down here.
Right.
And so the profits from the sale I put into a high rate savings account, which was better than a CD. I could get a CD for about the same rate, but it locks it in. This
Right.
they had a special deal at Wells Fargo to give me a high rate savings account for a year, 3.5%. So it's like the best I could find was about 4% in a CD. Um, so I'm letting it sit there until I don't want to repass the loan now. Um, and I'd rather wait and see what happens within the next year and just survive off, the higher payments. And then
Right.
ultimately, if I get it shifted down and die down, I can get that down to, half of what I'm paying, recast and refi. I'll put more
Makes
money
sense.
down and then
Yeah. No,
refi
that makes
too.
sense.
Yeah, so I can get like right now it's costing me, $100 a day to stay in my own house. Never
Always
been
nice to be
inside
in your own
before.
house.
Always been in the well, my first home, I think my monthly mortgage, PITI complete, was about $1,500 a month. And when I left, Damascus was about 1,800. And it
Hmm.
was going to go up because of the homesteading tax thing. Because I know I'd filled out the paperwork before, and then
Right.
they were gonna they did jump the taxes up like significantly. I think there was enough money in the escrow account to keep people seem to stabilize for a while. So I did get a good bit of money back on the escrow account too. So that's
Right.
you know, I would not. I know I filed the paperwork, and then I think they changed the law or whatever, and you had to refile the paperwork or something like that. And I still kept getting that I'm not part of the homesteading thing, and
Ugh.
this is the thing they're going after people for legally now for claiming they
Mhm.
are, and they're
Yeah.
not. So that should have been, but whatever, it is what it is. You know, before it really became effective, I had to, you know, I got out of it. So, uh, where was I going to go with that? Taxes down here are a lot longer. 'Cause, I really, that's what I was going to say. It goes back to the fees from Montgomery County. That basically there was a $2,600 transfer tax. Just
Our fees here, especially in Montgomery County, are
or
they keep creeping up.
I'm-
They were generally stable for a very long time, and as the market I think exploded, obviously that pushed rates quite a bit higher. But even further from that, they changed the percentages. But
yeah,
I mean, ultimately, just the percentages alone in Montgomery County are just to take it from your name and put it into the buyer's name and make sure all of the stuff is correct is like 3% now.
well, and it's on them too. It's on the buyers too. Both
Yeah.
people pay.
No, I mean it's insane
So they got like
what
almost
they're charging on stuff.
almost six
And
grand just for selling.
yeah, I mean it's not fun and it's obviously percentage based. So the higher sale price you get, the higher those fees are.
Yeah, yeah. I paid, I think, the whole property tax throughout the entire year. Actually, as
Oh,
part of it as well. Paid their property tax. Well, this will all come off my taxes for next FY, but
right.
or for this tax year, so I'm not too concerned. I'll have a lot of
Right. And so
write-offs.
you'll get a chunk of that back.
Yeah, I probably will in that respect. I just have, and I'm gonna have to play some games between the two states too. Not more games, but um, have to. Well, I'm still paying Montgomery County or Maryland taxes throughout the year, and then I'll claim my change of residency, and then have to go back and retroactively claim North Carolina probably. So for
Right.
half of the year, so I live with a CPA who does taxes, so she'll figure it out. I'm good at that sort of thing.
Well, very good. Very good. Um, Well, I really appreciate you jumping on here and talking with me today. And yeah, glad we were able to get everything done. Obviously, we both wish there was less hurdles and roadblocks that we had to jump over or kind of work our way around. But unfortunately, that's part of the business. And we were able to get it done successfully in a fairly timely manner without any major issues. I had another one in Damascus that I just sold last week that we ended up having to cancel the contract, take the house off the market because their septic system failed.
Oh no.
Yeah. So everybody was excited. Buyers were, sellers were, agents were, everybody involved. And then that came, and then first time buyer, it scared them. So sellers replacing it, but we lost that contract. So they may come back, we don't know, but at the end of the day, those are the hurdles that nobody wants to see.
No, for sure. And I mean, we had that one buyer initially who wanted to do a septic inspection, or wanted me to pay for a septic inspection, and several
Yeah.
others.
That guy was an investor and he's like, this is how I buy all my investments. And I'm like, I've been an investor for a very long time too. And
He, he,
I've never asked a seller to pay for all of the inspections. Well, this is how I buy. Oh, okay. Good luck to you. That's not how you're buying this house. And then
yeah, I didn't know he was an investor.
the one buyer that you potentially found from the auction, um, I had him working with my lender nonstop. Lender got him approved everything, and he was like, "Okay, then I'll be in touch." Never heard from the guy again
Wow.
because I
Well,
started talking with him and put him in touch with my lender while we were on coming soon. and worked through the whole process. And right before we got the contract that you accepted, the lender was like, "Hey, you're approved. You can write this contract now." And okay, I'll let you know. And never heard from that man again.
I would never
So
go through that process just for, to not go
yeah, it
forward.
was like you spent a lot of time, and he had to get the lender all the documents. So it's like he wasted his own time, not just the lenders. Um, and paid for the credit report, the whole nine. Not that it's astronomical, but you're wasting time and money on something that you never
Well,
took the
maybe
next
someone
step
else
on.
would.
So I was
Who's your
hoping to make it
lender?
work out with them.
Now, who is your lender? You got a good lender that you
I
like to
do.
use
Yeah.
that has,
Uh-huh.
who is it? I mean, you can always email it to me, but
The company is Mortgage Link. Lender I like to work with is Alex. But
okay.
I'll text you his
Your dad,
details.
yeah, your dad had connected me with gosh, what was it? I still get emails and stuff from the guy, Mike something or other. Uh,
Okay. I haven't worked with a mic in a lot of years, so
well, anyway, when it comes time to refinance, and I need somebody fairly aggressive to find me a good rate, an independent guys that can do this sort of thing. I
okay.
work with the guy. He works
Yeah,
with
I'm
this
pretty
other
sure
lender.
Alex is licensed in North Carolina as well. So I'll text you his number.
Okay, it's just nice to have. I have my previous lender.
Mhm.
He did as good as job as could do, and given the time period, uh, uh, when I bought this house down here,
Mhm.
and I got in on the skin of my teeth basically to even get the rate that I have.
Right.
So because they bolted up after that pretty quickly. So it's unfortunate that that's just the way the market ended up being. And so when it comes time to, I'm keeping an eye on the Freddie Mac rate charts, to see they're trending down for 3 months. They've been trending down, like a tenth of a point or that. I think it's down to 6.6 instead of
Okay.
6.8. So that's really not significant enough drop. It's enough to call it a trend, but not a significant enough drop to say, oh, I thought we find this in 2/10 of a point. That's just not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
So I'd do a recasting before I ever had to do that. Anyway, so yeah, it's always good to have more people, to what kind of rates they can get and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So it's somebody who's pretty aggressive
Cool.
about finding good rates. So I
Very
suppose he
good.
works with different banks as well. They work with several banks trying to find the best.
Yeah, they're is it not a broker, correspondent lender. So the difference between a broker is going to take your information and then go try to sell it out. Correspondent lender is we're going to take your information, we're going to close it in house. Once it's closed, then we're going to sell it off.
Yeah, that's what when I bought um that's the one that's basically what I did with it might be the same company. I have
I
Apex.
mean, anything's possible on that for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, correspondent lenders are generally who I work with. Um, they're again because everything is in house and
right.
you have better, just better options, I think, than any of the other guys.
Well, this is the first mortgage I've never had sold off, actually. And why would they? It's at 6 and 7/8.
Right.
Um, so every other mortgage I've had has been sold on. Until I converted my last mortgage, we recast with Navy Federal, and they don't sell off mortgages. So
Okay. Very nice.
um, I refund. So but everything ends up in Wells Fargo's pocket, it seems like. So
Okay.
that's what this company is. Okay. That pretty much covers it for you. Um,
It does indeed. I appreciate it. And yeah, well, enjoy North Carolina. And if you have any Maryland questions, you know how to find me.
Crabs are cheaper down here.